A wise man once said, and I think it was Winston Churchill, that if you fail to plan, you might as well be planning to fail. Because really, if you're going to go and spend an hour and a half in somebody else's company in order to be able to understand what's really going on in their world, to understand if they have the sorts of problems that you can solve and the commitment to solving those problems with somebody who might well be you, well, you need to be planning for that meeting. That's a complicated meeting to be having, and failure to plan for that will really not do you or them any good service. So whether it's an online meeting like Zoom or Microsoft Teams or anything similar to that, or whether it's something that you actually have to get in a car and drive for half an hour, 2 hours for, really, it still is relevant to be planning for the meeting. You can't just show up and just expect to wing it. Winging it never really gets you where you need to be. So what does that pre-call plan look like? It looks like this. It looks like mapping out your upfront contract, your rules of engagement, so that you know very clearly what the agenda is that you need to be discussing, how long it is that you've got for this meeting, and what sort of outcomes you can expect from it. Plan the top sort of 3 or 4 questions you might want to be asking that are based around the sort of initial indicators that they might have the sort of problem that you can solve. And those questions really are geared around trying to dig into what's really going on in their world. But of course, you're not going to get straight into that. The first things you usually do with any meeting are the sorts of getting to know you questions that are, common if you want to be, bonding with somebody and actually establishing some rapport. But you can still use those questions in order to really start to uncover reasons for doing business as well. So they can be very, very productive questions to ask. So typically, before you go into any meeting, you're going to have done your basic research. Now, this doesn't have to be extensive. You don't have to be burning the midnight oil to understand every single thing about the business that you are going in to meet, and indeed the person you're going to meet. But it's good to have done your basic research, to know what their industry looks like, to know what their marketplace looks like, to understand a little bit about what's going on in their world, so that you can ask relevant and intelligent questions that actually don't insult them and actually tell them that you do genuinely care about what's happening in their world. So the sorts of questions you might want to ask them in this sort of initial bonding and rapport phase of the meeting, it would be things that, again, you would pre-call plan. Map it out. Work out what are the best questions to be asking about what's going on in their industry. What are the best questions to be asking them about what's going on in their marketplace and, say, with their competitors? What's happening in their company right now? How are these external factors affecting them internally? And how is that affecting the person that you are talking to? Ask those questions, but ask them last. Make sure that we start with the industry, then the marketplace, then the company itself, and then the person you're actually talking to. How's it affecting him or her? What does it look like in their world? What's going on, and how do those things affect their plans? Because of course all of these things might then be further pain indicators that you can delve into in a little bit more depth when you get into the main thrust of the meeting. So the essence of having a successful meeting is all about planning.